we looked at 9 different areas of organizational maturity to determine, is there any one of these that really pops out? If you make an investment in this area, you will significantly change your overall performance. What we found is that none of them individually stood out. So people, process, and technology issues. What we found instead was that if you make systematic investment across all of these areas, you vastly change your performance as an organization. Again, the center of excellence concept. As you move into maturing the people, the process, and the technologies of business analysis in your organization, you go from sub 20% success rates to about 80% success rates on projects. Okay, here's an example, large North American bank. This one here happens to have about 400 business analysts are on this conference today. But here's the example. This particular organization wanted to totally transform how they were doing things. They needed new templates, new course curriculum, licensing of the methodologies, etc. They came to us for all of those pieces, turnkey. But they're a smart organization. What these guys did as well is they invested equally in building the experience. So simulation programs went in, doing e-learning, etc., to kind of reinforce, doing side-by-side mentoring, doing the accreditation program. All those pieces went in. And as a result, they became one of the true references in the industry for an organization that does excellent business requirements. And in fact, out of that engagement came the IIBA, the International Institute of Business Analysis. Here's an example. People come to us and they ask me all the time, well, guys, what's your secret sauce? What is it about IAG that makes us different? And I'm going to push back to you that if you're building this capability within your own organization, what do you need to optimize business requirements? What do you need to be different? And so here's some kind of top priorities for you. One is you have to develop expert facilitators. If you can't do that, you really can't be more efficient with your stakeholders, and therefore you can't, command, or you can't engage them better so that they want to give you the amount of time that you need. And you can't really control how much time you're going to take and to do the elicitation until you've got excellent facilitators. They also need to be using a superior process. So you have to separate out artifacts, like methodologies themselves, separate out artifacts, which say you're writing stuff down, from the elicitation. So how are you going to engage stakeholders, ask them those questions, and extract the information you need? Separate those two sides. So often people have poor requirements practices, and the first thing they do is they roll out new templates. And all that ends up doing is it means that you've got the same poor ability to get the information out of the organization, and now you're trying to write down that same poor information into a different template which has got different boxes in it. So it just, shuffles the deck in terms of problems. Try to focus on the superior process in elicitation. The next thing is you really need to know or apply tight quality control. So you have to know when you're done. So in your own organization, how do you know when you're done? How do you know you've got all the requirements? We were asked this question earlier today. How do you know? So often organizations will answer that question by saying, well, we know we're done when somebody's signed off on the requirements. Okay, so that means basically somebody got really tired of this process, that the stakeholders get tired of it, and they finally signed off on the darn thing. Well, that's not a very good, understanding of when you're done. Done has to mean something very specific to you. And if it doesn't, you have to look at, well, what's your quality control process really all about? Now you also need to accelerate or operate in a highly accelerated environment. For us, the average project, week and a half for something that's like $1 million, a client-side spending on their overall project. So it's maybe $50,000 to get the business requirements done on a project. So it has to be done in a highly accelerated way, or you can't maintain the focus of the stakeholders. What we also use is we use technology very judiciously. Try to say that when you're tired. Because what we use is we consolidate the consensus. If we're doing a project from Monday to Friday, we're facilitating Monday to Thursday, that document is in the hands of the stakeholders on Friday, and we're doing a review. Why? because it consolidates the consensus. It makes sure that people are looking at it and say, okay, yep, this is what we talked about, you're right, and they're starting to sign off on the darn thing. The whole idea is to make sure that the process is efficient, and the reason why you do that is it very significantly reduces rework. Now, for all of you who talked about 35% or above in terms of rework, 75 to 80% of rework is caused by requirements error. And here's a study that we did. It looked at 6 client organizations and 36 projects where we compared the IAG or a project being done using IAG's method, requirements definition process, versus whatever they were using internally. And what we found was that there was a 75% reduction in changes to requirements. What that translates for you is to a 20 to 30 to 40% reduction overall in cost to deliver the application. Why? Because you're not, reworking it to death. You're not delivering it 2 or 3 or 4 times. So, next steps. I'm also going to open up a poll for people who would like to have some follow-up material, whether it be statistics or research findings or some of our case studies. We talk about having one-on-one conversations with people. If you have projects or you really are looking to get something done, give me a call. We'll have a conversation about it. But there's some assets that you may want to start leveraging immediately, like some of the materials that are on our website, www.iag.biz. Get first and foremost the business analysis or business analyst benchmark. There's a tremendous study there that talks about the importance of requirements to organization, how to diagnose the issues that are going on in your organization, and then talks from a base of statistics on how to get success within your own organization on projects by looking at certain variables and making changes to those variables. So get that information. There's a whole lot of white papers there as well. In fact, you'll see a whole series of white papers and articles on our site from our various consultants out there. The other thing that you might look at is, we've maybe done 1,000, something in excess, well in excess of 1,000 engagements, but we probably have scoped 3,000 to 4,000 of these things. And the reason why is because people are continuously reaching out to us with their more complex projects and saying, okay, look, help us build out an elicitation plan, help us look at how we might go forward with this particular project, and look at it. And so reach out and have that conversation with us if you're dealing with something that's a little bit more complex. You may also be in a situation where you've got an ugly duckling on your hands. It's, your iteration 9B and the requirements are poor and they're just not resolving for you. And if that's the case, let's have a conversation about that, because probably you can resolve that in a very short period of time, and it is certainly way better and trying to push it over into development and then getting into, radically escalating costs on the development side.
Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and additional resources are in the description box below.